Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chase, and today we're going to break down the Sui Lalo. Sui Lalo is notorious for being one of the most technically demanding strategies in the game, but once learned, it can take down virtually any base design. The aim of this guide is to introduce you to the strategy and break it down into manageable pieces so that you can learn to triple with Sui Lalo by practicing these tips. So let's get started with the basic explanation. The objective of Sui Lalo is to use your heroes with very little troop or spell investment to create good pathing, so your hounds and balloons coupled with a multitude of spells can sweep through the rest of the base. So what is good pathing for Lalo? Pathing in Clash is like a trail of breadcrumbs you leave for your troops to follow, and that will get them from one side of the base to the other. In this case, the breadcrumbs are defenses and air defenses, because balloons only target defenses, and lava hounds only target air defenses. So good pathing would be when the remaining defenses form a predictable trail throughout the remainder of the base. This is an example of good pathing. The loons will always go around the base like this, never straying off to the sides, and making it easy to place spells since you know where they're going. The path for the balloons is very narrow, which means the Warden aura can cover the entire trail, and there's an air defense on either side of the path, so your hounds will take the same path that the balloons do. In most cases, a good path is usually in the shape of an L or a straight line, so your goal with the Sui should be to mold the base into one of those. Now that we know the objectives, let's see how we can accomplish them. Before looking at a base for a plan, you should understand your hero's strengths and weaknesses in order to maximize their value. The Grand Warden is used with the Lalo most of the time, so we'll only be talking about the King, Queen, and RC. All of them are good against splash defenses, since those are designed to counter large groups of units, such as balloons, and not a single hero. This includes the Town Hall, Scattershots, the Eagle, and Multi-Infernos. The heroes are not good against single Infernos and, depending on where they are in the base, enemy heroes and CC troops. Never fight CC troops within the base unless you bring extra backup in spells and a tanking troop like an Ice Golem. The CC can be very deadly since you don't know what troops are in it, so luring it out first is always a safe option as well. A damaged CC can wipe out your heroes fast, while a stall CC can get in your way and distract your heroes from the main targets, so be prepared for anything. Now each hero also has their own set of skills to make them valuable in a Sui Lalo, so let's take a look. We'll start with the Queen. The Queen's value comes from her range and her Royal Cloak ability. Her 5-tile range allows her to snipe off buildings while staying away from other defenses that are deeper in the base. Plus, her cloak ability can guarantee the takedown of any building she is targeting, since she goes invisible and doesn't retarget once the ability pops. You have to look out for projectile defenses like scatters and the enemy heroes because they can kill the Queen through her ability if she gets too low. Also, CC troops can distract her Queen, stalling her up and wasting her impressive damage, while strong defenses whittle her health down. The Queen's best target is the Town Hall, because her ability can take it down without her taking damage, plus her range will usually keep her out of the poison, away from skeleton traps which are usually around the Town Hall, and she can stay out of the CC's range, so it won't distract her from the target. She is easily the best hero for the Town Hall, so look for that first. Next up, the King. The King's power comes from his vast amount of health, which he can use to take out valuable buildings and heroes in heavily guarded compartments without much support. His Iron Fist ability can deal incredible damage, and the spawned barbarians can be used to quickly deal with the skeleton traps and distract point defenses. Look for splash buildings and enemy heroes for your King to take down, and stay away from single Infernos and give him a good funnel into the compartment and he will do a lot of damage. The RC is very important since she can jump over walls and only targets defenses. Now the RC can be used with the Lalo, but she can be even stronger with the Sui since she, like the other heroes, is a ground unit, so ground defenses can also be tanked for her. I like to use her alongside the King, so that way the King tanks the defenses while the RC does the damage. The RC is strong against all splash damage except the Town Hall, since you would have to activate it first, which costs you troop space or a spell. Avoid enemy heroes and CC troops with the RC because she only targets them if they are attacking her, so she could take a lot of damage before turning to deal with these troops. Once you know the hero's strengths and weaknesses, you can now look for weaknesses in the base to take advantage of. I always look for the CC and its relation to the town hall first. If the CC is right by the town hall, I'll Sui somewhere else or use a safety blimp. But if my queen can outrange the CC and take the town hall, then I will always use that option. The Giga Inferno, Poison, and Town Hall Blast are all incredibly dangerous to balloons, and will force out your Warden Tome if you Lalo through it. So taking that with the Queen allows you to use your Warden ability anywhere else in the base. Next, I look for value buildings in compartments adjacent to the Town Hall that my King and RC can get. Taking down compartments next to each other will help make the base into the desirable line or L shape like we talked about earlier. After mapping out what your Sui will get, look at the path it creates for the Lalo. You should have the L shape or a straight line with the remaining defenses and air defenses positioned along the line for your hounds to lead the way for the balloons. Sometimes the base will look almost like a triangle, which is fine as well. That just means the core is left up, and you have to have a plan to deal with that, which we'll get to in the Lalo segment. Next, I will look at changes I can make to my army. This is the baseline I use in Legends League that I will tweak for league matches depending on the base. I will always bring an Ice Hound if a scatter is next to an air defense. That way the Ice Hound will tank longer than the normal Hound. If the Town Hall has too much damage around it, bring an Ice Golem or Giants to help with your Queen and get her the value that she needs. Bring more Headhunters if the King is in front of your Sui value, and 2 poison spells to go through the CC. Also pay close attention to the buildings you need down to funnel your heroes into the base. Try to use as few funnel troops as possible so you can maximize your Lalo. For spells, you can bring an invisibility if you suspect skeleton traps around the value that you want to get with your RC or Queen. And most sieges can be used with the Lalo as well, the most common being the Blimp and the Slammer. But if you see value with the Flinger, then you can use that too. The possibilities are endless, but I'd recommend just sticking with this default army as you begin to learn the Sui Lalo. The Sui is very important in setting up the Lalo, so it's crucial to understand a couple of key points. Hero pathing and cross-tanking. With hero pathing, you should be familiar with how the hero targeting AI works. I'll cover it more in the future, but to keep it short, the King and Queen only see the 3 closest buildings to their current location, and will pick the one with the shortest path to it. Even a 1-tile difference in your placement can be the difference between your hero going left or going right. Pay attention to how your heroes interact with each other as well. Timing on your hero drops, where you place them, all of this can affect your other hero's pathing during the attack. For example, you can send your Queen in front of the Town Hall compartment here, and then use the King to force your Queen into the base by cutting off the trail of buildings along the outside. This will save you funnel troops so that you have more space for the Lalo. And this also leads to the next point, which is cross-tanking. Cross-tanking is when you have multiple troops going into the base at once, which forces the defenses to split their damage between all the troops. This helps to keep your high DPS units healthy by not letting them take the brunt of all the damages in the area. This is also why I send my RC with the King most of the time on the Sui. The King tanks most of the defenses so that the RC can last longer and do more damage. You can also accomplish this using skeleton spells to distract defenses, especially Expos, Scatters, Single Infernos, and enemy heroes. A few other things to note is to try not to invest too much on your Sui, but if they're losing health fast before you get the value you need, then you'll have to save them. If you plan to invest, make sure the building you want to get is worth it. If missing it will change your whole plan, then invest to take it down. A good example of this is the Town Hall. And now we've reached the scariest part, the Lalo. But don't worry, we'll take it slow, and we'll start with the deployment. Ever notice how long it takes for a balloon to drop a bomb after its first attack? It takes forever to get through defenses this way, but you get enough in a group, and they one-shot the defense and quickly move to the next. This is what you want in a Lalo hit. And in order to do that, you need to directly target the defenses on the outside with enough balloons to one-shot the defense and move on. Generally, groups of 4 to 5 are good, but if you want exact numbers, check out my stats video. This is also how you keep your balloons on the trail through the base by sending out small groups of balloons to take down outside defenses and push your main group of balloons around in a predictable path. Now the groups of balloons won't do anything if they keep getting picked off by defenses, which is where the hounds come in. Start the Lalo on a side of the base where all the defenses in the area can be tanked by the Lava Hound. This will save you freeze spells to be used once the hounds die off. I generally follow the same guideline when it comes to spell usage in a Lalo. Use speed-altering spells when the loons are safe from defenses, and then damage-negating spells when they are vulnerable. The Warden should be placed with the group of balloons that will be most vulnerable to defenses, which would be groups going into a multi-inferno or an enemy hero. At the start of the Lalo, the hounds should be tanking all the defenses in the first compartment, so you can haste or rage the balloons through. Then the hounds will cross the base or die, so you can use freezes or heals to protect them from splash buildings. Once the freezes are down, the balloons are protected again, so you can haste into those dangerous defenses like scatters and multis. When you're placing spells, make sure they are touching as many defenses as possible. That way the balloons will be affected by it for longer, and it will get more value. The Warden Tome can be used like a protection spell as balloons start to split, but also to kill enemy heroes. Balloons can't target enemy heroes, so this is where you use headhunters or skelly spells to directly target and kill them. Since these are ground units, they are susceptible to ground traps and ground defenses, which is why the Warden ability is used to protect them and to get rid of the heroes. Just make sure the enemy king isn't in the way, or he'll block the headhunters, and the queen or RC will then rip apart your Lalo one loon at a time. This is why there's a running joke in the community that the king is the best air defense. The final thing for the Lalo is the core. If you leave the core standing, you have a few options for taking it down. You can Lalo into it, or you can use your siege machine for it. If you Lalo into the core, you'll need your Warden Tome or a heal to take you through. Otherwise, stacked red air mines will wipe out your Lalo. You will also need a path to the core, so remember the trail of breadcrumbs and use your Lalo and haste spells to cut off the path for your main group to surge into the core. This is just like picking off the outer defenses to keep your main pack on the right path. Using the siege is a bit easier though. You can blimp to the core to directly target that pesky defense, or if there's a clear path to it, you can send in the slammer, and then it can keep moving on after dealing with the core. If you're using a slammer with the Lalo, then avoid air defenses and single infernos, and then the slammer will get you a ton of value. I usually send it in at the start of the Lalo to shape the base a bit better, but you can also use it later to tank a scatter for your loons. The Sui is one of the most important parts. If you can't set up the Lalo, then your Lalo is going to be incredibly difficult, which is not good for practicing a new strategy. So make sure you get the Sui down first. Practicing consistently or reviewing replays and correcting your mistakes will get you tripling in no time. You can even practice each step one at a time to learn how they work, especially if you have a second account or just a very patient friend. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will get back to everyone. If you like my style of videos, then you'll enjoy my streams on Twitch for some fun, as well as live, in-depth tips. Check out the description for all my info. And thank you so much for watching, and I wish you well on your Lalo quest. Now go, crush some bases.